The newsprint smell still clung to the padded mailer when Rowan Finch slit it open at her kitchen table. She had expected another stack of shipping manifests, part of the slog of freelancing as Portland's most punctual bicycle courier. Instead, a battered Leica M3 and 3 canisters of black and white film spilled onto the table. The enclosed note, scrawled in her late Uncle Lewis's broad strokes, read, "For Rowan, keep riding, keep looking. Develop these soon." L. Lewis Finch, photojournalist, had died of a quiet heart attack 2 weeks earlier. He'd lived like a perennial house-sitter, drifting between overseas assignments and month-to-month rentals along the Willamette. Rowan hadn't seen him since last Christmas, when he showed her a street shot of downtown dusk, bike lights smeared into comets across the bridge. She missed him more than she'd expected. The Leica felt cold and oddly heavy, as though it had absorbed years of urgency. Curiosity tugged at her. Nostalgia sealed the deal. She stuffed the film in her pocket, grabbed her helmet, and pedaled to the Nightshade Arts Co-op, where Lewis had once volunteered in the community darkroom. The co-op's hallway smelled of fixer and espresso. A thunderstorm rattled the tin roof, perfect cover for an evening with chemicals and shadows. Rowan had processed digital photos, but rarely film. Luckily, pinned on the corkboard was Lewis's own step-by-step cheat sheet. She followed his looping arrows, loading the film onto reels, bathing it in developer, agitating, rinsing. 15 minutes later, she clipped the wet negatives to a line, heart drumming in time with the dripping faucet. Vague shapes on the strips demanded enlargement. She slid one negative into the enlarger tray, focused, and flicked the switch. The latent world bloomed onto photo paper. Portland's East Bank Esplanade at night. Street lamps reflected on rain-slick planks. Second exposure, the same boardwalk, but a figure now lay sprawled near a metal rail. Even in monochrome, the dark pool beneath his chest shouted blood. A second person knelt beside him, a hooded silhouette frozen mid-gesture. Rowan's breath fogged the red safe light. Third exposure, a close-up Lewis must have shot from behind a riverside planter. The victim's eyes were half open, the mouth slack with final astonishment. The hooded figure's face remained hidden, but a distinctive messenger bag patch, an embroidered white sturgeon, glowed against the cloak of darkness. Rowan's disbelief lasted all of 10 seconds. She flipped on her phone and scrolled local headlines. No recent homicides on the Esplanade. No missing persons matching the victim's sharp jaw and neatly trimmed beard. Portland's crime beat was usually more forthcoming than that. Lightning rattled the building. Rowan shut off the enlarger and sagged into a folding chair. Her uncle had captured a murder no one else had reported, and then died before he could speak of it. Cozy nights are for chamomile, she thought ruefully, not unfiled homicides. She sealed the prints in a plastic envelope, locked the Leica in the co-op's rental locker, and rode through warm rain toward Mount Tabor and her apartment. Sleep proved flighty. Every time thunder boomed, the victim's blurred eyes flitted across her eyelids. Morning light found her at Fable, the bike-themed cafe where couriers compared bruises and mileage. Willa Kim, part owner and Rowan's oldest friend, waved her over. "You look like you outraced the apocalypse," Willa murmured, handing over a cortado. Rowan slid the envelope across the table. "Tell me what you see." Willa's brows climbed. "Whoa." She studied each photo, frowning at the blood, the hooded shape, the date stamp Lewis always enabled in the corner, 10/16. That's 5 days before he died. I checked news archives until 3 a.m. Nothing. Either the city missed a murder, or this is a very elaborate film set. Willa tapped the sturgeon patch. That emblem's familiar. Isn't there a boutique bag company, Rivercycle, gives these to their sponsored couriers? Rowan nodded slowly. I delivered for them last year. They only issued 20. Could be someone we know, Ro. The cafe's steamer hissed like a punctured tire. Rowan chugged her coffee. Then I'd better find out before the wrong person gets blamed, or the right person vanishes. Willa tilted her head. Police? Eventually, but walking in with a half-developed conspiracy and no corpse, they'll shrug. She took the photos back. First I'll visit the scene. Rain had scrubbed the city overnight, but October's bite lingered in the river wind. Rowan locked her bike at the East Bank Esplanade, chose the lamppost visible in Lewis's frame, and paced the boardwalk. A faint maroon stain clung to the grooves between planks, probably invisible unless you were looking for blood. She crouched and, using a twig, pried out a small metal disc wedged in the wood. A campaign button emblazoned with "Save the Waterfront, No Lofts." Rowan pocketed it. Recent redevelopment proposals had split neighbourhoods down ideological fault lines, and her uncle, ever the storyteller, had chased the debate for months. If the victim were an activist, motive sprouted like crabgrass. Mid-afternoon found Rowan weaving through Old Town's traffic toward the Rivercycle warehouse. Inside, frames hung like aluminum skeletons, and messengers patched tubes in a corner. She greeted Salem Ellis, sinewy courier, eagle-eyed gossip, and proud owner of the sturgeon patch. "Hey, Finch," he drawled. "Need a stamp card? Deliver 9 packages, get the 10th existential crisis free?" Rowan laughed appreciatively and studied his bag. The patch's thread colours were brighter than the one in Lewis's photo, but she asked, "How many riders still rock that patch?" "Maybe 6, Salem said. "Limited run." He ticked them off. Himself, twins Max and Milo, Dana Spinney, Lars Tennant, and Lila Bram. "Lila moved to Bend months ago," Rowan recalled. "Right, so 5 local." Salem's grin faded. "Why the sudden census?" She sidestepped. "Thinking of sewing mine back on. Nostalgia." He eyed her but shrugged. "Suit yourself." Outside, Rowan jotted the names in her courier log. She circled Dana Spinney, the only rider known for wearing a black rain-cloak that could pass for the hood in the photo. She dialed Willa, filled her in. "Maybe talk to Dana tonight at Lucky Spoke," Willa suggested. "Half the Courier League drinks there on Tuesdays." At dusk, Rowan parked outside the bar, wrapped in strings of bike wheel fairy lights. Inside, the usual clamour of chain grease, underpriced beer, and tall tales engulfed her. Dana Spinney leaned against a pinball machine, cloaked as always, her sharp ponytail flicking behind like a metronome. Rowan ordered ginger ale and slid beside her. "Haven't seen you on the Fremont route lately." "Shifted to evening deliveries," Dana said, eyes on the flashing playfield. "Night's your element." Rowan sipped. "Wild things happen after dark." Dana cracked a wry smile. "You mean accidents, drunk scooters, potholes, raccoons?" "Or worse." Rowan pulled the Esplanade print from her jacket and held it low. Dana took one look. Her pinball flipper sagged, ball vanishing. Rowan glimpsed a tremor in her hand. "Where did you get that?" Dana whispered. "From the photographer. My uncle." Dana swallowed. "I wasn't supposed to be there. I got routed to pick up a package from the new condominium sales office. Took a shortcut along the river. Saw 2 men arguing. The taller one stabbed the other, then ran toward a boat slip. I froze. Then I noticed someone else, the photographer, taking pictures. I bolted." "Did you tell anyone?" "Just the cops. Next morning I called anonymous tips, but they said no body found. Maybe I hallucinated. I let it go. She exhaled shakily. I keep seeing it. The blood. Rowan's pulse hammered. Did you recognize either man? The victim wore a Save the Waterfront button. Dana's eyes widened. Like the one you just slipped back into your pocket. Rowan felt the button's sharp pin press through fabric. And the killer? Tall, beard, camel haircoat, business type. A silhouette tickled Rowan's memory. She'd delivered thick blueprints to a developer's office last month. Firm owned by Calvin Bowers, 6'3", trendy beard, luxurious coats. His company bankrolled the waterfront loft project activists opposed. Rowan thanked Dana and left. Outside, rain dimpled puddles. She called Willa. I've got a possible ID on our killer. Calvin Bowers of Bowers & Courier's wealthy, politically connected. If Dana's right, he disposed of the body and used influence to bury police interest. Which means walking into precinct now might still get you stonewalled, Willa said. You need leverage. I need proof Bowers was there. Rowan's gaze flicked to the Leica's case slung over her shoulder. Maybe Lewis shot more than 3 frames. Back at her apartment, she searched the camera. A partial frame advanced. Lewis hadn't rewound fully after his last shot. Rowan popped the back in the dark bag, retrieved the bit of exposed negative, and hurried to Nightshade. Under ruby light, she developed the scrap. It showed the killer's getaway moment, a man striding toward a sleek river launch. The face was blurry, but the coat's lapel pin, a gilt salmon with the initials CB, sparkled sharply. Rowan copied the image to a thumb drive and emailed a scan to Willa, who replied minutes later. That salmon pin, Char Bowers and Coma logo. Nice catch, Sherlock. Rowan allowed herself one triumphant grin before reality chilled her. If Bowers learned Lewis had photos, what if Lewis's heart attack wasn't natural? She pushed the thought away. Medical examiner's report was clean. Still, Bowers must never know a witness survived. Rowan slept fitfully. Morning fog hung low as she lined up an excuse to enter Bowers's world. She called his office, posing as a courier, with confidential city planning files from Councilwoman Ortiz. The receptionist scheduled a noon delivery slot, routine for downtown. At Fable, Willa intercepted her. You're going alone? I have to read his reaction when he sees the photo. Rowan, he's a potential murderer. Take back up. Rowan patted her messenger bag, now containing 2 envelopes, one with innocuous restaurant receipts to legitimize the delivery, the other holding a photocopy and a note. More negatives with trusted third party. Police get everything if anything happens to me. You're one Scooby snack away from a cartoon, Willa muttered, but hugged her. Text every 15 minutes. Noon sun glinted off the glass tower housing Bowers & Co. Rowan rolled in, signed the logbook, and took the elevator to the 18th floor. Calvin Bowers's suite smelled of cedar and triumph. An assistant ushered her into a conference room where Bowers, in a camel haircoat, reviewed site diagrams. Rowan's calves twitched from the ride. She set the first envelope on the table. Delivery for Mr. Bowers. Signature? He capped his fountain pen, examined the label, then the receipts inside. Satisfied, he scribbled initials. Rowan produced the second envelope. And this personal item someone asked me to pass along. He opened it leisurely until the photograph slid out. His face drained. Where did you get this? A fellow photographer, Rowan said calmly. He kept meticulous archives. Bowers stepped closer. Menace seeped from his tailored shoulders. Who else has seen it? Rowan tilted her head. That depends on your next move. He inhaled sharply, anger sharpening to calculation. You're trying to blackmail me. Perhaps I'm giving you a chance to choose honesty before the police receive evidence. The victim's family deserves closure. Bowers paced, jaw ticking. Listen, Ms. Finch. Ms. Finch, accidents happen, rash judgments. The man attacked me. I defended myself, panicked. You stabbed him twice in the back, according to witness. His eyes flared. Witness? You really should read the local messenger boards, she said dryly. Here's the deal. You turn yourself in today, issue a full statement, and my friend releases only the relevant negatives. If not, the entire role plus witness testimony goes public tonight. Bowers's nostrils flared. For a heartbeat, Rowan thought he'd lunge. Instead, he smoothed his coat and pressed the intercom. Tara, call Detective Sandoval. Ask him to meet me at once. Rowan blinked. She hadn't expected surrender so swiftly. Bowers regarded her with something like rue. I made catastrophic choices. I won't add another. Tara's muffled voice confirmed a detective would arrive in 30 minutes. Bowers sighed. You may wait, or go, but I request the witness's safety. Rowan nodded slowly. That depends on you keeping your word. She left the skyscraper trembling. On the sidewalk, she texted Willa. He's confessing. Meet me at precinct with coffee. 3 hours later, Detective Marisol Sandoval, silver-haired and formidable, debriefed Rowan in a glassed interview room. We retrieved the body, she said, voice low. Waited under a marina pylon exactly where Bowers indicated. Victim is Milo Hernandez, environmental engineer and activist. Family filed a missing person report, but connection to waterfront protests was overlooked. Rowan rubbed her eyes. Dana's statement matches? Down to the lapel pin. Your uncle's photos corroborate timeline. Without you and Miss Spinney, we'd still be listing Hernandez as missing. Sandoval's gaze softened. Bowers's attorneys negotiated manslaughter, but any justice helps the family. Relief and grief washed over Rowan. Can I keep the Leica? It's evidence for now, Sandoval said, but when we're done, you'll get it back. Rowan left the precinct into late afternoon drizzle. Willa waited at the curb with 2 paper cups. You okay? She asked. A little wobbly. Rowan accepted the coffee. But Uncle Lewis's last roll spoke. We just had to listen. They walked bikes toward the Hawthorne Bridge, river wind snapping jack-o'-lantern flags. The city's pulse felt gentler now. Think you'll stick to Courier life? Willa teased. Or hang out a detective shingle? Rowan laughed, a sound light as bike bells. Mysteries find me on the saddle already. Might as well ride with them. Up ahead, clouds parted, sun glinting on wet pavement like fresh silver halide. Rowan pedalled forward, camera-shaped absence in her bag, but a promise rested there too. Stories still waiting to develop.